What's popular YouTube? Another day, another month, another year. Allows top 20 of 20XX. Okay, the year is 2023 today, and we started this in 2020. Things have changed a ton, and that's why it's been very fun to make this list at the end of every year to try to round up who I feel like were the best players from every single year. And in 2020, it was a lot online. In 2021, it was partially online, and there was Navi playing very well. In 2022, there was FaZe winning Antwerp. There was Vitality getting a lot better. ZywOo starting to pick up speed, and Simple having one of his best years ever to get his third #1. In 2023, the landscape has changed drastically, but we are fully back to LAN. There have been plenty of tournaments to play, and there's been a new game, a CS2 transition that we have to factor into the mix. So, just as all years, this is not a list to compete with HLTVs. It's inspired by it. It's my own personal perception of who I believe are the best players, with a mix of looking at stats, reminding myself of deep runs, what it felt like to watch the games, who I feel like actually had impact. And if it was that player on that team, that was the reason that that team was relevant, I give bonus points there. Some people on this list are carrying weak teams, and even though they don't have the deep runs to compete with the team results of others, I still think that these players, I believe, would be equivalently good if they were put onto better teams and have better team results. So I'm trying not to let that hold them back. Right now, this video, we're doing 10 all the way down to #4, and the next video will be 3, 2, 1 all at once, just to make sure that we don't spoil anything. All right, so before we hop in, remember to head on over to boxermovement.club. Not only are we doing tons of Counter-Strike YouTube content, but we're also making movement clothing, okay? For the sweaty youth out there, all right? We've got Boxer changing over to Boxer Movement Club, and we need your email to check. If you're an OG and you've made orders over the years, you're going to be first in line. So make sure you get your email in first, and then everybody else will be first come, first serve. So on the 21st, we launched the new site, and we've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the site. So make sure that you go ahead and check that out. And the email costs you nothing, so why not? One more announcement. On January 6th, I will be doing a LAN in Toronto. I'm trying to revive the NA scene on top of making clothes for sweaty movement nerds, casting Counter-Strike, and making YouTube videos. I want to do a LAN. So Rivalry said, hey, want to do a LAN? I said, hell yeah, let's do a LAN. And then we're going to do more events in 2024, including watch parties, but we're going to kick it off with our first LAN together. I'm so stoked to get this going. A lot of pros came out of these locals, right? That's where it all begins. So that's what we need back in North America. If you want to come to that LAN, you go ahead and sign up. It's, again, January 6th in Toronto at the Red Bull Gaming Center, gaming studio. Yeah, all right, that's it. Last thing, this video was recorded after the fall final, before the world final, before Bet Boom Gacha Dubai 2023. Okay, just so you know, there are players that probably after the world final might actually change in my mind and everyone else's minds, but in terms of scheduling, I need to make sure I have a break when all the casting is done. So I do this list before the world final ends, unfortunately. So that's the only thing that I'm really missing. That's just so you know, in case you feel like your favorite player should have been moved up because of the world final. I totally understand, but just take into account this was recorded. The list was made before, solidified, and unchanged as soon as the fall final ended. So I didn't edit it. All right, thanks for listening in. Let's hop in. So this guy is one of the biggest guys, all right? And he's big for many, many reasons. He's got a big presence in the scene. He's a big player on his team. He puts up big numbers. And he's also been somebody who I have consistently been at odds with HLTV's list, if you want to make one comparison in terms of where do I place him. He is somebody who is undeniably a good player, and in my opinion has become undeniably a great player. Somebody who's transitioned not only to CS2, but into the beginning of 2023 in CSGO has flourished off the back of a brand new teammate. I'm sure you might know who I'm talking about now. Coming in at #10 is blameF. blameF is year over year my most difficult to place player on this list. Last year I had him at 14. In 2021, I didn't even have him on my list because I didn't believe he was nearly as good as his stats. Because of his laggy playstyle and propensity to hunt ecos, he will always have inflated stats. But this year, I'm seeing a player who is increasingly more active and still fragging just as hard. In my opinion, he still hasn't found that perfect tempo for flanks and trade frags in the same way as Spinks or Rops has this year, but he has surpassed them in some very key positions for Astralis' map pool, such as CT Con on Overpass. He comes in at number 10 on this year's list, which is his highest placing for me, despite a lack of deep runs, lands, or big major, because him and dev1ce turned this completely hopeless team into something viable and smashed the eye test through his evolution as a star player and perfect number 2 to dev1ce. Coming up now is one rifler some have called irreplaceable, and yet the team that replaced him still survived. Now, I would say that isn't an indictment on the person that he is and the role that he fills. As a rifler, he's a core rifler on the team. He's explosive. He doesn't get the star player stats, I would say, but he does take down a lot of star players, and I think that this year wouldn't have been possible without him. Coming in at number 9, Magisk. Magisk was a core component for what most people will label the team of the year in 2023, Team Vitality. On top of getting his 4th chip, IEM Rio, and Gamers 8, Magisk to me has been the guy on Vitality who has offered up the hardest kills. Oftentimes, reviewing his stats in big games, star riflers would have more kills than him, but couldn't beat him in the head-to-head in the kill matrix. He was also referenced to me as the hardest guy to kill by a few pros this year, and I saw it too. He's my number 9 this year for being truly selfless, explosive, and nearly never failing to make the correct play consistently in big games. How often do you see him make mistakes? Hopefully this Falcons project ends up giving him more of what he had on Vitality, because he's been a player's player this year, and many top tier talents would receive a boon from his in-server presence. Everybody wants to know where this guy is going to be on this list, on HLTV's list, and in everyone's minds, okay? There's almost nothing more to say, except that this player's career has probably been the most followed of any CS player in history, and he's had a massive impact both in the game and as a personality, and this player is now, in my opinion, dropping down to a point in the list where he started to come up at. Coming in at number 8, Simple. Although he didn't win events this year, and even though he decided to cut before attempting CS2 for personal reasons, and even though he failed to overcome the challenges of his new international lineup, Simple in 2023 has still been a relatively accurate reflection of the player he was last year. Watching him play, I saw a player who took the right move, went for the best risk, and played for victory, even though he missed a fair few more shots. The stats still show that he may have decided that he's in the second half of his career, or even last quarter, but that he is still an elite top player. I honestly cannot tell myself that anyone below him on this list was smarter, more impactful, and more match defining than he was, even if they had better stats or deeper runs with their teams. He was their best player on Na'Vi, as usual, and if he wanted to, could supplant nearly every AWPer in Tier 1 on their team. Some may see this as a low, and some may see this as a high, but Simple for me potentially ends his career in a similar place to 2017, where he really demanded the attention of the CS world. Of course, we all hope that he will be back, because for nearly 5 years, he showed us what the ceiling of the game was. And for that, he should be honored. Coming up next, one of the most handsome men in CSGO, and somebody who was sorely missed for a long time. There are some comparisons made between the last player and this. Some prefer Keanu Reeves. Number 7 for me in 2023, dev1ce. The argument for dev1ce is the recovery to a lineup that would have been completely impossible without him. What I saw this year from dev1ce was pure magic. As the number 1 to blame F, dev1ce's op presence on Astralis has been nothing short of a masterclass of impact. And although many important matches were sullied by extremely poor teammates' performances, this year we are instantly reminded that he is still one of the few truly elite in the history of CS. Very few have been able to survive a break as long as he has. And we call them the question players like Guardian and Olaf. And I only bring them up because of how good that they were. Also, some of the elite. The roster that he ends the year with may be questionable out of their debut with the addition of Stown and Jabby, but the ability to attract the best of Heroic, in my opinion, comes almost exclusively from Device's return to the lineup and his unquestionable ability to read the game and make top players look foolish. Really rating Device this year, because of what I've seen despite some of the worst overall team results. He will clock in at number 7 for being the reason that Astralis have any chance to return to their former glory in 2024. All right, things are starting to heat up, and number 6 is where things get very, very interesting. Okay, this is the highest placing for a player this year. This is maybe the most improved out of last year and the year before that we've seen for someone at this level. Okay, this is somebody that everybody will be wondering where he's going to be on the list, and they know it's going to be high. Okay, he was touted as probably the best or second best rifler at the end of the first season this year, coming into July, August. He is somebody who has played for an underdog lineup that has now solidified itself in Tier 1 with the addition of a brand new IGL that we know is the truth. This player was 13 years old when he started having Reddit threads made about him for his abilities playing in Face It. Coming in at number 6, Frozen. The best player on the underdog lineup of the year, Mouse Sports. The best pro league run in history at the end of CSGO. And to top it off, if not for FaZe, the smoothest transition into CS2. Frozen has had his best year in his career, and you have just witnessed it. Absolutely lights out consistency in the first 6 months from one of the best riflers in the game this morning. FaZe Frozen is number 6 for me. He was a quiet prodigy who never had the infamy of FPL Rops or the blazing hot rookie year of Dunk or Zywoo, but someone who has been a star since day one. Go look at his stats even in 2017. He's only 21 now, gaining attention on Face It as a 13-year-old with posts on Reddit. Frozen has been a star since the start and could still only be in the first quarter of his professional life. Congratulations on going to FaZe. Melz will absolutely miss you. Hats off, Frozen. Number 6 this year, a career best. Now you guys know my favorite player to watch if you've been watching all my demos over the years. Hunter, Stown, I really love Shocks-like players, high utility players, and then just the very best, whoever's giving us the best games in the scene are the people I want to watch. And the player that I'm about to talk about has given us some unbelievable highlights in the last 2 years, honestly. He's also one of the youngest players in the scene, somebody who everybody has been waiting to find out when he's going to be the top 1 player in the world. He's maybe the most overrated player from that perspective, but might actually fill that gap. This guy, by the end of CSGO, knew more than almost any pro that I had seen play the game. Watching him play Face It just a few hours a day, I would learn more about CS than I had ever learned myself. I won't lie. That's the highest praise that I can possibly give. And I personally watch his Face It demos over anybody else, his Pug demos, to learn who's up next. You guys know who I'm talking about already. Number 5, m0NESY. The Cato and Cologne champion takes the 5 spot in my eyes. m0NESY has performed in-round miracles, executing perfect movement and late-round decisions in chaotic moments for G2 to a degree that almost nobody can match up to. And he's only 18 today. Apart from his major elimination match, which was certainly a team choke versus Fnatic at Paris, m0NESY has been a rose in the concrete for G2 in elimination games and tough times every other time. He has also evolved out of a one-dimensional static angle holder at the beginning of 2022 into a dynamic, innovative, and aggressive star opper that is a two-way player. T-side openings, CT-side defenses, and perfect clutch play who can close out rounds in ways that 90% of Tier 1 players simply do not have the mechanics for. I'm not sure if I can say that about anyone else. He's almost a division of his own when it comes to mastering gimmicks and bringing KZ to the main stage. m0NESY is a player after my own heart and packs in countless flashes of brilliance every single tournament. This is the kind of player that we've seen in the past that has amazing movement that you would think, well, they're all aim, they're all mechanics, and they're no brain. m0NESY is finally the guy who puts up both ends of the bargain. Many expect him to be #1 one day, but top 5 speaks to the fact that he's lean, sheer impact, and steadily improving into one of the elite players of our time. Oh, and a plus 118 KD at Cologne. Don't forget about that, Rum. So we round out today's list with number 4, and this is the most tenuous part of the list and took the most personal deliberation. The player that I'm about to say was one who is probably the most talked about player in CS2. If I had to say, in my opinion, second best in his role and absolutely one of the most incredible and unique players with a signature play style that is unreplicated by anybody else in Tier 1. He's somebody doing it with a rifle. He's somebody that is the most reliable, probably, when it comes to holding an angle and holding an advantage and making sure to not give it away. Coming in at number 4, Rops. Rops might have the best focus and awareness of anybody else on this list when it comes to finding advantageous fights and never giving that edge away. On FaZe, he has been credited as being the most in tune with the new game, and it has shown in his stats and his output consistently through the fall-winter season. He's a player whose highlights will live on in our memories and signature playstyle jumps off the screen. Rops is the number 4 player of the year for me, and the reason people were beginning to wonder if FaZe could secure an era in CS2 after an overall average year in CSGO. A player who, in the second half of the year, makes a name for himself as potentially the best player in CS2, and in my opinion, with the op nerfed, has a chance in 2024 to be the #1 player of the year. Now becoming more than just a star role player as a lurker, evolving out of that alongside a lot of players in his role, and can now simply be a thoroughbred star player that is much more versatile and can compete with the likes of Nico, Simple, and Device. Okay, I hope you guys all enjoyed that. That was number 10 through 4, and I don't know what this new style of video is going to look like, but I had a lot of fun to sort of half scripting and also reading through some of the notes that I've had about players. It has been a joy to do this list one more time. If you like the new style, let me know. Stay tuned for the 21st. That's when 3, 2, and 1 are coming. Make sure to head on over to boxermovement.club first before you do anything else today, before you do anything else right now. boxermovement.club and leave us your email for the 21st. You won't regret it, I promise. We got some special stuff coming, okay? Lots of cool stuff. And if you want to come to the LAN, January 6th, all right, Toronto, I'd love to meet you in real life. If you want to cast, hop on the couch with me, just want to say hi, come through if you want to play, bring some friends, all right, anything you want to do. I'll see you there, all right? Thanks so much for watching, and as always, you always have enough money for a deagle.